I'm going to show you how to make this little crescent of blossoms. It's very simple to make, and I think it's a very effective spray, which shows that you can have a lovely display on top of your cake without having to make very complicated flowers. Move this out of the way. Now this is where a different type of cutter comes into it, but this is actually again a 5-petal blossom spray, and it's a plunger cutter. So in other words, we cut it out and we've got something to push out the paste once we've cut it. And these are about the most useful set of tools that you can get, some cutters that you can get. There's 3 different sizes, and you'll find that whatever spray that you want to make, if it's with roses or whatever it's made, they use these as filler flowers, and they are really, really pretty. So we're going to start off now with just this blue one, this big one, to make the blue flowers. Now I'm going to get some blue paste, and the colour I've used for this is blueberry, which is a very nice shade of blue. Now we need to roll these fairly thinly. Okay, now I'm going to cut out the blossom, and I'm going to smooth away any surplus, and as it comes off the plunger it will actually shape it. I don't know whether you can actually see that. It has given it a slight shape. I'm going to just give it a little more with my ball tool, and I'm going to take a sharp object and I'm going to make a hole through the centre, because that's where my stamen will go. And it's very quick to do these because you can keep taking them out, and so something to sit in front of the television doing, actual fact, because you need loads of these. And this is what we have. We have a little blossom with the hole in, so you can do as many as you like. Okay, just make it slightly, and then a little hole through the centre, ready to take the stamen. And for this we made a lot of them, so I will actually tell you how many we made while we were assembling it. Wrap these up. And the next stage is when they're dry, and you need to leave these overnight to dry. And the next stage will be to put the stamen in. So we've actually got the dried blossom, which is quite hard now, and we're going to put a little bit of our glue in the centre and thread it through. It's there, and then you can just put them upside down on a board to dry. And again, it needs to be left for 2 or 3 hours to make that dry properly in it. Because if you don't leave them to dry, you'll find that the stamen will come out while you're trying to work on the assembly of your spray. So a little glue and thread it on. The blossoms now are dry, and I have taped a set of 3 blossoms, which is a darker blue, a pale blue and a white, onto a 26 wire. So we've got a little cluster up there. I actually made 26 picks of these blossoms. So we've got 26 white blossoms, 26 pale blue blossoms and 26 darker blue blossoms. So that's your flowers prepared. I've made 30 of just the plain leaves, which I've taped. They were put onto a fine wire, uncovered wire, and taped. And I've made 8 white ribbon picks, 8 pale blue ribbon picks, and 8 darker blue ribbon picks. And that's all we need to assemble our crescent. And we start off by taking 3 leaves, and I'm going to mount those together by putting one slightly further up than the other 2. And if you press them together, they'll stay while you tape them. And that's the start of your crescent. Now the thing is that I'm going to work on both ends, as I said, at a time, because then it's far easier than trying to see what you've done after you've completed one, and then start to try and match it up the other side. So we do 3 at a time, 3 at the end. So again, another 3 together, tape those together. The next thing we do is we're going to add a blossom onto there. And I've just put it below the leaf. I've left a tiny little bit of stem so we can bend it out when we're ready. And put that on there. Now the thing is, don't put too much tape at a time as you put these together, because you'll find you have a very, very thick stem and it'll be very difficult to manoeuvre. So we want again to do the same on the other end, with that just below the leaf. We're going to tape that on. And this is how we're going to start adding our flowers on, and our leaves and our picks. So I think we can put, next we'll put a blue one on, a blue ribbon pick. Now remember, this is going to be opposite ends. So if I'm going to put a blue ribbon on this side, I need to put a blue ribbon on that side. So you're going to have to remember that you're working on opposite sides. So the end of that ribbon actually comes to just about the end, the base of that leaf. Just a couple, 2 or 3 turns just to hold it. All these can be made into the correct place when we've finished. Next we're going to add on another blossom to each one. I'm going to add one there and one there, just underneath the ribbon pick. and we've got them both the same. I'm going to add on another blossom just below the dark blue ribbon, or darker blue ribbon I should say. So it actually starts just not quite below that blossom there. One's next to the other one there, so it's at that level. And we've got to remember to add one onto the other side because we need it to match. So I'm going to add this on. Then the next stage is to put another leaf in. So we're going to keep adding to each one. Exactly the same, because that's a little shorter, so because I've only put a little tape on, I can actually put it up to the position I want it in. So the next stage is to put a white ribbon on the other side. So, and the tape allows me to press it to the main stem. Again, I'm going to do exactly the same for the other one. And tape that on. All this can be adjusted when you've completed it, as long as it's roughly on the right side. And we'll add another leaf into it, next to the white ribbon. And again on the other side. I got on much better by moving the wires with my tweezers. And we'll then add another blossom to it. And the same to the other side. Just slightly below the others. So it's beginning to form the two ends of our crescent. I think we can have a pale blue ribbon in there next. And another leaf, which I can bring towards the centre. And a pale blue one on the other side. And a leaf. As you can see, it's going to gradually build up. Then we need another blossom just below the leaves. And I'm going to start again with another darker blossom on the other side. So coming down your stem a little way. So you're gradually building up that branch of your crescent. In this way you can, mounting your flowers together like this, while taping them together, you can use any sort of flowers to make this. You don't have to stick to this, just a blossom. Another flower pick. Add another leaf in there. I'll say it's great, it sticks together, so you've got a chance to arrange them how you want it to while you tape them. So now I think another blossom. So I'm actually using 7 of these little flower sprays on each side. We want another white pick there. The white one there. And I think some more leaves. Perhaps we'll have on each side. And another one in the centre. Now either add them like that while you're learning to do it, or when you get used to handling, you can add more than one. Another 2, 3. So I want one more flower on there. And obviously you're going to take a lot more time, more care to do it than I have. But this gives you an idea of how the stems are built up. So we've got to add the last blossom. and to the other side. And we're going to add pale blue ribbon pick on one side and the dark blue on the other side. So the dark blue on where the white one was, and the pale blue one on that side. And up to now, I've used the 7 blossoms and some other picks. So that's both ends of your crescent. Now I'm going to wrap that a little bit more. I'm going to wrap those stems a little more. Just to give them a solid stem, otherwise I've got all the little bits of wire there. And I don't want it sticking in my hands while I bend them. Okay, we've got that far. Now the next step, I'm going to take my tweezers because I work far better with them, and I'm going to actually bend that downwards. They're very, very sturdy tweezers. In fact, they were a flat tweezer but they've been ground off, so they're very, very sturdy. But you can equally use very fine nose plier for it. So that's got it to that far. So I've got, as you can see, both sides of it there. So what I want to do is to take a piece of wire, just a thin piece. This is a 28 wire, and I'm just going to wire those together just to hold them. And that makes it a little easier for me to tape it. They're held together. Only wants a fine piece of wire. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape around it because I don't want to make it too thick at the moment because I've still got some flowers to add. So we just leave those where they are. And now we're going to fill in the centre. So I need to add some flowers to our centre. I'm going to put 2 on the back. Put some leaves on the centre. some more flowers, and we want enough to fill in that gap, so I mean we're working fairly quickly here, but if I was doing it for a cake I would take a little bit more time and care over it, but it gives you the general idea of what we're doing. And I'm going to keep adding the flowers and put 2 more flowers and I'll add some ribbons to it. And gradually start filling in that centerpiece. I'll add some ribbons to it, some white ones. Some darker blue ones there. So I'm working from the front and the back of that just to fill it in. So I'm adding some to the back and some to the front, so to make it an even spray. Twisting that around a little bit. You don't want to do that. So I'll tape it again. I've still got some more flowers, so I can add some more to it. And perhaps you can see now why I say that some of your sugar work, if you're going to form a spray like this, or you're going to make it to bouquet, or whatever you're going to do, they need quite a lot of handling, and you have to make sure that they're not so fine that they're going to break while you're working with them. Because that's always the problem. So the finest flowers are best kept for individual flowers or just a very few flowers on a cake, but just make the ones that you're going to put into a spray a little bit thicker, because you'll be very upset if they all start breaking. So we've got to the stage of, oh, is it a good idea? I think I'm trying to work too fast here. And I've got a few more. I've still got a few more leaves and picks, but I think you've got the general idea of how it's done. We've roughly got the spray there. So I want to get a thicker piece of tape. I should say a wider piece of tape, not thicker, it's wider. And we're going down there. The thing is then you want to arrange it so it looks nice. So it's okay. I think what I'll do is finish this off first before I bend it. Again, I need my cutting off this, but make sure it goes in the pot because you don't want it in your sugar. Take it down and thoroughly cover that bottom because you don't want the wire straight into the cake. So that's your bottom there. And now I'm going to bend that round slightly so it forms a crescent shape. And I'm going to arrange the ribbons and the flowers just so it looks nice when you're so you just arrange it so it makes it look nice. You fiddle around with it until you've got it right, get everything in the right place. And you can see why I did it together because now it matches both ends. And if you do the first one end, sometimes it's very, very difficult to see what you've put onto your stem, and it's very difficult to get it into an even display. So this is your present.